This podcast is part of E2C Network, where we share the whole Auburn experience.
David Housel described it best. We are living the whole of the Auburn experience. You can quantify it, you can qualify it through a variety of different methods, times, people, places, and things. But at its heart and at its core, it is all about Auburn sports, Auburn culture, and of course, the Auburn family. Since it's about family, we got to get together as a family. He's Austin. I'm Kyle. We are the E2C Network. Heads of the family, I guess, is what you thought.
We might sit on the ends of the table.
That might be, we can say we sit at the ends of the table, but you all congregate the rest of the table as part of this little family within the Auburn family. We are in studio together for the third time, right? Is that what we said?
I think so.
Third time? I feel like I'm getting used to seeing the scenery around me as we reference pre-show, the two other walls that are not part of this thing that we do.
That's right. We are secluded to this side of the room for the Auburn experience, but it's good to have you here. This is always an efficient way to do this.
Maybe one day we'll just turn the camera around and do like a different show or something.
People would be so surprised.
They wouldn't be surprised with that.
Well, not surprised. They'd be confused.
That wall,
no one would know.
No one would understand the correlation, but I would, because
we're gonna leave it a mystery.
That's what it should be left at. We got a good show for you guys on episode 73. We've been hyping it up. 8-day weekend. We got a ton to talk about.
Huge.
So we're going to get to that. Obviously, a lot of football talk too. But let's put all that discussion aside for a second. Do Auburn potpourri to start off with. Is there anything that I always take it first, but is there anything that you want to discuss in Auburn potpourri first?
Oh, I mean, we talk about a lot went on this weekend. A lot went on throughout the week as well. I mean, it was a big news week. We're right at the end of basketball season. Mm-hmm. Basketball season will officially end tomorrow, Monday, with the national championship. But
certain other things already ended.
Certain other people's seasons have ended, like many. But
we didn't lose by double digits in the Final Four. Somebody else did.
We all lost to a team from Connecticut this year.
That's true.
So really, if you can't think about it, all things are even. But with the end of basketball season comes, and I mean, well, it feels like before the end of basketball season nowadays with the transfer portal.
Yeah,
you got comings and goings. CBM Chad Baker-Mazara staying. I have a feeling he'll be out for some justification next year.
Justification is a good way of saying
that. I think he'll be looking to prove himself, make right. He doesn't need to. I think we've discussed that enough. It's a mistake. But I think he'll be a key piece of the Auburn basketball team next year. But Trey Dawson is entering the transfer portal, leaving. We've heard about some point guards potentially visiting, could be brought in next year. I'm sure that all came into his decision. I love Trey. Yeah, love watching Trey. I think he'll do really well wherever he goes. Hope we're not playing him.
I say that for a lot of players that leave Auburn, but especially two that have left now recently. KD, who we talked about last week, but Trey as well. I love Trey with a passion, because first of all, he told me personally once that he listened to the show.
How about that? I didn't know that.
It walked up to me at one of the practices I was able to attend and just said,
"That's cool.
Enjoy what you guys did." I was like, "Well, that was just the best thing ever."
Yeah.
So that, in a sense, just hurts me that he's gone. That one of our athlete listeners is. Yeah, I mean, maybe he'll still listen.
Keep us on, Trey. We'll keep you
Trey.
Involved in touch with all things.
We miss you already.
That's
you just now left. I think obviously the big week of addition and subtractions from the roster, we saw something else happening. Is Trey the one that you saw leaving next? Is that kind
of no, I think I would have, as in point guards or anybody.
Well, just anybody, that
I think I would have thought Aiden might have been the first one of those two to pull the trigger. He has not yet,
right? As of the
might
show.
Not at all, we don't know. But it was surprising to me. I think not that these guys are selfish, not that these guys, I was trying to explain that with Emily the other day. She was like, why are these guys leaving? They're loved by Auburn. They seem to love Auburn. And I think that, with KD, it's a situation where he's got a little bit of time left, not as much eligibility. And with Trey, there's other places he can play more minutes. And these guys can get more stats and get more minutes and try and achieve their own personal goals. So it doesn't take away what they've done for Auburn, and we're certainly appreciative. But I can see where Trey would leave because he's talented enough to go play somewhere and play big minutes. So best of luck to him. Hopefully we don't have too many more departures.
That's what I'm hoping as well. I think these were, at least the guard position was the obvious place. But
there's a bit of a log jam there.
That's a nice way. You got some good analogies.
Got some verbiage today.
You are on fire. Maybe you do need to go away every 8-day weekend because you're just on your A game. Just to say something about Chad. Obviously, we've talked about it a lot, and if you've been on social media, you've seen the ends of the spectrum of, obviously undying support, but then people who just, y'all need to check yourselves. I mean, really. So no one has ever excused what Chad did. Neither has Chad or Bruce, but I think we all need to realize that we need to take, what's the adage from the Bible? Take the plank out of your own eye before you examine the one in your brother's.
That's right.
It might be something to think about. But I'm super excited to have him back because, as you said, we started out talking about this. He is definitely going to be driven. Oh, yeah. And if it literally, think about how driven he was this season. Right. And you multiply that with what happened, how his season ended effectively. Yeah. That's scary. That's scary if I'm an opponent.
He'll be a crucial part in the rotation on the court, in the cohesion of the court, of the team. And so I think he was really getting his footing under him toward the end of the conference season. And next year, I mean, he should be one of the leaders. So it'll be exciting. He'll be great.
So since we're talking about basketball, let's do like the other end of the spectrum. We've got talking about retention and people leaving, but then we've got these two additions that are coming in. Right. Todd Pettiford, Ja'Kai Howard. This week was a big week for them.
Absolutely.
Because they got showcased in two different ways. Well, they were supposed to be showcased. So Todd Pettiford was supposed to be, and he was nominated already, part of the McDonald's All-America team. Bruce just keeps bringing him in, is basically what I'm saying.
Still shocking to associate.
He must like McDonald's
type thing with Auburn basketball.
It's just weird, man.
I don't think I'll ever get over it. He's been here 10 years, so I'm not sure I'll get over it.
That McDonald's All-Americans are just McDonald's and Auburn, and Bruce Pearl is just like a synonymous thing. He was not able to play in the game because he was nursing an injury, but
sounded like you said he was not able to poop. That is what I heard.
See, this is why we can't do the show together all the time. Thank you for that.
Hope that was not the case.
Was pooped out or something. He was injured and was not able to play. I hate that we didn't get to see that. Yeah. And see what, we're still talking about a guy that's coming in from high school, and we don't want to overhype things too much.
Oh, we never do that.
Aiden, because Aiden's had obviously some consistency issues at times, but still loving him being part of this team. But sad we didn't get to see Todd. The other side, though, what you can get hyped about is Ja'Kai Howard. Today, I think as of a few hours ago of us doing the show, participated in I forget the full title of it. Yeah. It's a very difficult
We're going to miss out on some
It's like
sponsorships here.
It's the Nationals 3-point and slam dunk contest.
Right.
So he won the slam dunk contest. And I think if I remember correctly, it had to go to either like overtime or like an extra dunk off or something like that.
That sounds fun.
So I didn't get to watch it because I was taking in the last bit of 8-day weekend, but to the next future pieces of Auburn.
That's right.
And showcase this week.
Some excitement, maybe some nights in Andy Burcham's future.
Nights,
from Ja'Kai Howard. So I think those are two really talented guys. I think we're expecting a lot out of Tahad. When a guy's ranked that highly, you're always and especially at a crucial point in one of those guard spots, you're always expecting a bunch. But I think we're going to be pleasantly surprised with Ja'Kai Howard too, and his athleticism. And I just love when these guys get to learn from guys who have been here, and hopefully he'll get to learn from plenty of them. We've already mentioned CBM, but hopefully we'll have some guys back that he'll also get to learn from in those 3, 4, or 5 positions.
One quick note in potpourri about some just, not sports related Auburn things, but you can always relate back to sports because you come for the sports, you stay for the food in Auburn, I think sometimes you could say. Taquerita is coming back.
That's a big one.
That's like the amount of hype on an 8-day week lead up that was about Taquerita that I saw was crazy. If you are an Auburn person or if you've been to school here during when Taquerita existed, why did it go away?
I don't know. I really don't. Rent always changes a lot downtown. There's no telling.
Just say what it is. It's going up.
Oh, it's going up. It's not changing.
It's going up.
That's right. It always goes up, and that always, I feel like, causes businesses to move in and out.
Yeah.
But they're moving not far from where they were before, like across the street.
It's like almost, just diagonal maybe.
A couple doors down across the street. I've been there a couple times. It was there when we were in college.
Yeah.
But I know a lot of people that love it. So the downtown, I love when a place returns or a place Auburn people love enters downtown. As much as we kind of get an outside influence more and more these days, we're getting a place people like and a favorite returning. So
yeah,
welcome back to Taqueria.
And it's, one of the big complaints about people is how Auburn's just changing too rapidly.
Yeah.
So even in that change, being able to bring something back that people are familiar with. And, there was a time when Taqueria was the brand new thing.
Yep.
And so, but they've become part of that, what people associate in the past with Auburn stuff. So that's a good thing to have, obviously, in a time where Auburn, literally, if you turn around and turn back around, something's popped up or something like that. And that
up. It gets higher and higher.
So basically, the point of this segment is everything's going up in Auburn. The price of having something and the high rises that continue to go up.
Skyline.
There's a hotel going up over the Anders spot too that we need to talk about someday.
We do need to talk about that someday. I need to get some talking points from Emily. She's very, I don't know the word, and she knows a lot in.
We might have to bring her in.
We might have to bring her in
right now for like a guest spot. She's like, no, screaming, stop now. All right, so that's going to do it for Auburn Potpourri. We want to move into our main two segments now. We're going to talk about A-Day weekend football first, because we know that's what y'all are here for mainly, but we're going to talk about the whole weekend on the back half of those two main segments. But first, we got to talk about our friends at Magic Mind. And let me tell you, Austin, this weekend,
did you?
I needed some energy.
I don't doubt it.
I was dog tired going from every single event possible, because that's what you're supposed to do to get the best Auburn experience. And when you have weekends where you need energy, you got to find those energy sources. But the problem is a lot of them aren't good for you. They're not the best nutritional value for you. We got the alternative for you. Magic Mind, our friends who've been around with us for a while. We appreciate their support of our show. You can check them out for an alternative to those energy shots, those energy drinks out there, or it can just be a supplement to your coffee, anything like that. Just a better overall option health-wise. If you've got special dietary needs like keto, if you need a less sugar diet for an alternative source for energy, visit our friends at magicmind.com/Auburn. Use that code Auburn, AUBURN, to get that 56% off the subscription, and then the 20% off the one-time purchase. Again, magicmind.com/Auburn. Use the code Auburn. A-Day football.
The Towns Magoo show.
The local kid show. This is the funny thing, Austin. So we do these post-game streams for most football and basketball, sometimes baseball as well. And I started the show yesterday and said, look, I know what y'all are wanting to talk about, and that is one Towns Magoo. I mean, 7 field goals, 7 for 7, and then just knocks through a 58-yard bomb, which I'm not using hyperbole, folks. I do think it would have made it from the original line of scrimmage. Most people weren't aware that they moved it up slightly.
Did they really?
Unless I missaw things. Of course, it was, we were all.
I got to go back and look at that.
I am pretty sure they moved it up about 5 yards.
So it'd been 63.
I think. I could be wrong. So don't shoot the messenger. But Towns Magoo is the big story, one of the big stories of A-Day football. I know you were busy on Saturday, but what were you able to keep up with? What was your impression? And then I'll give you, as a person who was there outside looking in.
Sure. Well, we were on the way to our destination, hit some traffic on our way to the destination on the highways. I'm sure that won't surprise you. But so we did. My dad and I did get to catch Andy on the radio some. First off, was this game supposed to start at 1 or 2?
Oh, I am so glad.
I really would like to know this.
Let's talk about this. There were some interesting decisions all the way around with how things were promoted and stuff. And I think some people got their feelings hurt a little bit about maybe things weren't as clear. But I also think there was some strategy and why things were said starting at this time. And I think if I had to give some advice, I would have been a little bit more clear to say, the first hour is going to be a practice, which frankly, I didn't mind. And I thought that was the point the whole time, because it was kind of nice to actually get to sit back and watch all the drills go through. If you're not a traditional media person or somebody who's invited to come to those practices, because I really like that. I'll be honest with you. But I think there were a few people that were upset that they were sitting in warmish weather for an hour. I don't know if you can tell, I'm a little sunburned, a little bit pink. So I had to move up into the shade after the first about 30 minutes. And I realized, we We haven't even started the game yet.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right.
Well, we turned on the radio and I'm like, I thought this game had already started. I'm trying to find the broadcast, and I'm not saying Andy was not aware of what's going on, but he's kind of being like, all right, we're gonna get started here soon, and another 15 minutes goes by. Here we go, we're getting started here soon. So I can see how that is strategy, but also some people could be peeved by
they
that.
planned their day. They probably did other things
Correct.
while they were in Auburn. They probably would have maybe spent that extra time.
Hour, yeah.
But I like the format that they did. I just think it should have been communicated a little bit better.
Once we got the game going, and I was able to really listen and hear what's going on. During that practice time, there's a lot of great interviews with Ronnie Brown, Jason Campbell, Will Herring, and Andy Burcham through all of that. But once we got the game going, we were able to kind of listen and see who was showing out. We heard a lot of the names that I think we expected to hear, is in Cam Coleman. We heard Robert Lewis a lot, so that was good to hear.
That was a nice surprise.
Good to hear good things from the receivers. Sounded like Peyton Thorne had a great day, an efficient day. What we expect is the leader in the clubhouse. And I mean, we've already hit on it. Towns Magoo was just ready to go.
We could just make this the Towns Magoo show.
We really could. I didn't realize until a few days ago that Alex McPherson would not be kicking.
Yeah.
And so I was I mean, once you hear that, you're like, well, what if this happens in October? What is our guy like? We've got the local kid. We've all heard about the local kid. He did turn down the full ride from Ole Miss, stayed home.
If you're Lane Kiffin right now, you're just upset.
I mean,
he won't act like it.
No. He'd be like, what in the world? Found out he was also at the event I was at last night.
Oh, really?
Yep. Did not see him. Just saw pictures. Well, he was probably sitting.
Apparently a lot of Auburn players had things they had to rush off to after the event.
Yes.
Such as a prom.
Such as prom.
Hope that went well.
If that doesn't, and we're talking about Cam Coleman, if that doesn't help you remember that these are just kids. Yeah. I really don't know what else to tell you.
That's a good point, because if nothing else, it's a funny story, but it does put things into perspective for when we're hyping up a guy like Cam Coleman. So let's talk about it. Okay. Let's talk about Cam Coleman. I've been, at least personally, very adamant about trying to get people to slow down on the hype. I literally, in our comments in one of the videos, and I knew I was going to get the comments when I shared the touchdown, because I filmed it in there. Cam Coleman was like, don't do this to the kid. He's not even the same position. Don't do this to the kid yet. It's funny, I'm not saying I didn't think about it too. Let's not even put that out into the world. Been very cautious about him in terms of the hype around him. I will say
he didn't help himself.
He did help himself,
he
just not the
hype.
Caution
the hype. Yeah.
He did not help the hype monsters out there for Cam Coleman.
Yeah.
He gave them every reason to believe this kid is for real. And I'll say I'm taking the step in that direction.
Agreed.
To believe the hype.
I think he's going to be a major player for Auburn. I think he's going to be a major contributor. Nothing against the guys that have been in the receiver room in the past couple of years, but Auburn, it's not going to take much for someone to come in and really make a difference. And a guy at his size and his stature is just different than what Auburn's had in the receiving room. So I think that was probably one of the best possible outcomes for fans for Auburn A-Day, because you want to come in and the people that you have the overhyped expectations for, you want to see them at least try and meet those.
Right.
And he did a really great job. Obviously won offensive MVP. So he's not the only one that thought, or we're not the only ones that thought he did a great job. Now we just need to translate that to other, once we get in real game. I heard Andy say one time, he did not get a look on a touchdown when we were within the 10 because the defensive side of the ball and DJ Durkin already had him doubled.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, how many times are we going to have to deal with that come the fall? So there's still other guys that are going to have to step up in order to allow Cam to have those kind of potential plays for impact.
Yeah.
But I mean, for the kid's first game at Auburn, it couldn't have gone much better.
No, it really couldn't have. Definitely stole the show. Robert Lewis, as we talked about, I think, honestly, if you look at the whole picture outside of the big plays that Cam Coleman made, Robert Lewis you walk away if you're looking at the full picture of this and saying, maybe we should have given this kid a little bit more credit. Just because, and I'm not saying that like he's going to be our leading receiver or anything like that, but he is clearly going to be a factor in the passing game, especially when so much attention is going to be on a Cam Coleman.
Right.
So that was nice to see. We got the ball around to a lot of receivers. We'll come back to who gave the ball because I think that needs to be discussed as well. But I want to give credit to the defense because they came out and asserted themselves very quickly. This is a game where it starts with 27 points. And
I like that format.
I do like it. And this the second year doing this, really like that. And as I watched the game progress and I saw that the offense was only getting field goals, I said, we might be in for an issue, not an issue, but a defensive win today, which was great. You know, obviously we've had a lot of discussions about the hire of DJ Durkin and things that surround that. But, you know, sometimes you can shut all that up by just coming out on the field and taking care of business. And for the most part, I think there's maybe a case you could make as the game went on, the passing game got more efficient and thus the pass defense seemingly less efficient, but they did not allow hardly any of the run game.
Right.
Kept, you know, doing smart things like double teaming Cam Coleman, like you saw, giving us good looks. I walked away pretty happy with the defense.
I was too. I was impressed, especially with the defensive line. I think that's a spot a lot of people are cautious about coming into the season because there's a lot of youth there. There's a lot of pros that left. There's a lot of just experience that's gone from that side of the ball. Obviously, you have a new coach,
right?
So someone who's been in the system, but a new coach. So lots of things all make ends meet there, but did well.
Yeah.
You know, Coach Freeze even mentioned it post game. He was really impressed with them. Impressed on how they handled a really big Auburn offensive line that's experienced.
Yep.
Now, you know, the flip side of this is always, oh my goodness, what are we going to do about the offensive line? But I think it really does show more that I think this defensive line might have an energy and a surprise factor that people aren't expecting. I'm not ready to say that they're, you know, going to be one of the best in the SEC. There needs to be depth and some guys still need to step up. I think Coach Freeze mentioned post game they'll still be looking for some defensive line help in the portal, but it was really impressive. I think they proved a lot of people wrong that were kind of really down on them going into the game. So I was very impressed with the defense. I don't know how much that has to do with the players versus the new coaching staff, but hopefully everybody meshes well and we all get surprised and get an Auburn defense we're used to.
Yeah, and your defensive leader was Jaron Thompson, who came flying in on a sack because they don't tackle the quarterbacks. But Peyton Thorne would have been on his back and slid back about 10 yards because he would have been laid out that easily. So he also got he made waves. There were a couple other great defensive plays. Kayan Lee had some good plays. But let's, as a last piece to this, let's talk about the quarterback position. I don't know how many times we got to say it, folks. I'm not going to speak for Austin. I think he agrees with me on this one. Peyton Thorne's your starting quarterback, folks.
Yes.
You need to wake up to that. It's time. It's over. I mean, it's not over. I said that yesterday on the reaction stream. I shouldn't say that. He is the starting quarterback until proven otherwise. Did he have the most outstanding day in spring game? A game? No. But he was efficient. He took care of the ball for the most part. He looked poised. He looked in control of the offense, meaning when wide receivers, especially the very first few plays, were out of line, he's yelling at them, getting them in the right spots. He looked like a guy that was finally in control of the offense as much as a player is allowed to be in control of the offense.
And we saw a bunch of interviews this week about saying how confident he is, so there's some more RPO action in the offense that's allowing him to kind of be in control more and make the decisions and think on his feet. I saw a lot of people saying how fast they thought the offense went yesterday, which is something I know you love.
I love it. Love it.
Why waste any time?
Why? I mean, you got 60 minutes, right?
Yep.
Well, hold on, do the math real quick, Kyle.
In a game.
Yesterday. Yeah. So why waste a second of it? I mean, literally.
Every second matters.
Gus Malzahn, that's why I missed the guy.
But so, I mean, I thought that proved a lot of people wrong in that he is in control of this quarterback race.
Yeah.
Coach Frieza said, I think he's going to make sure that this race goes through fall.
Right.
And so everybody stays on their toes. I'll be interested to see if we get any movement from the quarterback room, transfer wise, here before summer. Obviously we're with 4. We've got Peyton Thorne, Walker White, Hank Brown, and Holden Gerner.
Yeah.
I think Holden's probably your one we're all watching to see.
Right. And
Walker just got here.
Yeah.
Hank Brown, I thought he had a good day.
He did. if you look at the stats, I think the most efficient passing was Holden.
Yeah.
So when I saw Holden, I think he, as expected, is the starting backup there. The more maybe exciting one, at least when you talk about stats and stuff so far, what we saw in spring game is Hank Brown. Walker struggles a little bit at times during the game, which, hello, folks, I tried to warn you, he's a freshman.
He's also supposed to be going to prom.
He's also supposed to be going to prom, so give him some time. But I think that's how to assess it. We'll see what happens with transfer portal and all that stuff. But here's what I will say. If we can keep all four of these guys, I feel really good about the quarterback room. I'm not saying we got a Cam Newton in there, but I'm saying we've got a very efficient and very, very capable and potentially underestimated quarterback.
Smart guys that know where they're supposed to be, and understand what is expected of them.
And imagine if we can just keep an offensive coordinator for a year. What can actually happen?
Please. Any coordinator. We'll take both of them.
At this point, really. So, I mean, obviously we skipped over a ton of stuff in the football game. We just wanted to hit the high points there. Towns Magoo. I keep saying Magoo. I had someone tell me it's Magoo and get on to me. And so now I can't unbreak. I knew it wasn't, but I got so scolded for that I can't break the habit.
Stand your ground.
Stand your ground. That's what you need to take away from this segment. Not that Towns Magoo is the greatest kicker ever, apparently.
Towns Magoo. Look, the kicking room is set up.
I could go on for about another 5 minutes about this situation I did on the live stream. So we need to leave that there. That's our assessment of the Auburn football A-Day game. Let's talk about the rest of A-Day. So again, if you're tuning into this segment alone, if you're wondering about the football, that was all in the last segment. You need to go check that out.
This is the part I interview you. I interview you and tell me all about the A-Day weekend.
All the audio people are like, why are there's all this wrestling? Because I'm turning around to face him now because I'm getting interviewed. I have said this once. I will say this again. I will say it 1,000 times. We started what we do here about the Auburn experience, the whole of the Auburn experience, as David Housel said. And to me, there's no better day to exemplify, no better weekend to exemplify that. When done correctly, weather, thank you.
Lord.
Thank you. And when it's scheduled properly, things are added in addition. And this was one for the ages. I can think of one other time that I was like, oh, this is probably the best day I've ever had, because there were some things like track and field that was here that people rarely get to see. But you couldn't ask for more. So football, you had volleyball added very late to the schedule, but welcome addition. You had softball, baseball, men's tennis. You had the Tiger Trail inductees. If you were able to attend that, I wasn't able to attend.
Okay,
but that was cool to see. Those, Casey Cooper got shared a lot about her. Takeo Spikes had a big feature, and that we knew that was going to be a big feature. He seemed to be very excited about, being a part of that. Had a lot of fun with a little promo they did for him. What else happened here? I feel like I'm blanking on 1,000. Pop-up shop. Let's start there. Okay. So we've seen the pop-up shop before, and it was, I don't know if last time it was more general, but this was strictly Auburn baseball, and it's outside the baseball game.
There's a lot of Frank Thomas last time,
but
because
less
around
so.
The statue.
Right. The statue that was being promoted, but this had a lot more, I guess some of the similar things we've seen, but a lot more new things too that were added. I walked by this place after we did our video, so go check that out if you haven't.
I didn't get to go, and I really wanted to, so your pictures and video were perfect.
Up on the YouTube channel and Facebook right now, a little overview video of everything that we saw there. I literally walked past 3 or 4 other times and just stared at this hat that I wanted the entire time.
Which one was it?
It was the one with just that little block A on the front.
I'd never seen that before, but they had it on a lot of stuff.
And I sat there, and it's got the trucker mesh in the back, which makes me sound redneck, but I love.
Yeah.
I literally looked at the cash register, and I just is like, the reason I didn't pull the trigger is because I'm anticipating getting myself another hat of different relation. Auburn related, but company, so trying to,
there might be some branding.
There might be some
next year.
There might be some branding stuff, but anyway, I really wanted that. It was a good shop.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed walking around there. A good variety. Everybody loved the powder blue.
Lots of powder blue.
What can I hot take?
He's going to be against it.
I'm not a powder blue fan.
Interesting.
And I think Ole Miss ruined it for me. I cannot stand powder.
But there were a lot of Ole Miss people chirping back at the AU Love It Show It account, and they just kept sending their pictures from the 70s when Auburn did wear powder blue. It's not like we're copying you. We have a history too.
It's like Ole Miss can't get out of their own way when it comes to trying to compare themselves to Auburn. Like,
right.
have y'all not
little
learned?
brother mentality?
Like,
we're not even in your state, and you just got problems.
Like, we don't even have to say it's little brother mentality. Like, you're just doing it.
We don't think about you as much as you think about us.
And I would also say that if you have to tell someone that they're a little brother, that is a little brother move. Like, it just is kind of how this Ole Miss thing happens. Anyway, that's not what this is about.
I thought it looked good. I
Yes.
thought the things looked good. I think that it's going to be something. I don't think it'll be something we see a lot.
Right.
I wouldn't hate to see them wear it just one time.
I listen. I'm not opposed to it being out there and like for other people. It's just not my taste.
Sure.
So that's my hot take. Is that I'm not a fan of powder blue. And that's why I didn't spend a lot of time around it, but I knew people would be excited about it. That's why we shared it out there. So Pop-Up Shop was out there. I just say it was a successful baseball and softball weekend would be very well. How about this? Softball had a pretty decent weekend.
They did.
Baseball had a great start.
Friday was great.
That was about it. That's all I kind of want to say about that right now.
Feeling really good on Friday.
We're doing this. I just left the last game. I believe it was a run rule, just like the second game.
Unless there has been a miraculous,
which they are capable of doing,
and they are, but we have not seen any comments talking about the miraculous comeback. So I'm going to assume that did not happen.
I will tell you this in terms of the softball. I didn't think I was going to be able to attend, but I was able to go last minute at the end of the last game. Did you know that there were just like a baseball stand-up section in the outfield back there for students?
How old is that?
Apparently it's been at least around the rest of the season. Like,
I did not know that.
I was
not there when I was in school, at least.
It definitely was. So I went out there to the game and I started looking out there. I was like, is that workers or is that students out there? And so I asked the individual, I was like, can you go out there? And they said, well, technically it's for the students, but I don't think they're going to stop you.
Sure.
So I went out there and watched the end of that game. And
about the same space, like
a lot smaller,
center field.
But same concept, 2 tiers. And actually this one's in the left field portion, not right center.
The board would be
yes
right here.
But if you want a great shot of the eagle that sits up there, the laser eagle with the with the smoke, it's a good shot back there to see them.
I did not know that. I did not get as much publicity as the baseball.
It's not the easiest thing to get to,
really.
So that's why I'm not saying that I don't want people to rush back there, but something to really think about.
Good for that's. I think that's fun.
I'm going to tell you this, and I know we're kind of skipping past the Diamond Sports because a lot of it wasn't great. Volleyball was fun because we swept Alabama.
Yeah,
I mean, like swept,
and then some. Right,
like,
4 match sweep.
And I thought they were going to do a 5th. I was there for most of that match, and it looked clear that Auburn was.
They probably called it off.
I kind of think they did.
We can't do a 5th one
because I stayed for what would have been the traditional game. They swept. If you sweep them in 3, you're done.
Right.
But they said we're going to play the rest of sets, and I thought they said 5. And so when I saw the final score, I was like, were they that like beat up that we can take them down?
That's really cool, though. That's something that we've talked about that you need to incorporate in the fall to the weekend. And so I'm good crowd.
Good crowd. Obviously it could always be bigger, but for a spring berry thrown at the last minute to the schedule, I think everybody showed up and showed out for it. Tennis was fun. I know not a ton of y'all aren't tennis fans, but if you haven't been out to Yarborough Center, I was sporting it because I've come today from Auburn versus Mississippi State, watching the doubles matches at least. And man, it was a big energy out there. So if you haven't gone out to the Auburn Center, you should make a habit to do so. So that's kind of the overview of what happened all this week. One final thing is part of our discussion of just the wholeness of 8-day week. And it is back to football. I want to talk about this is about the experience, right? Tickets, parking. It's not a gripe. No, okay. I think I'm confused. Did they ever charge or have restricted parking for 8-day, or was it just wide open?
I don't remember.
I feel like at least last year, outside of the deck, because I know I actually got to park in the deck and I wasn't supposed to be there.
This weekend?
No, it was the last year, thankfully, because it was raining so much. I think I just happened to get in there before they closed it down for the day. But I don't think I've ever had an 8-day weekend where they've had parking restricted public to one specific area, that being I don't know what you call it, the overflow by the public safety. You know what I'm talking about? Campus Public Safety Building over there in the big lot next to Mama Goldberg's.
Yes. Yeah.
That was wide open. But like the arena lot was locked off and nobody
Really?
hardly was parked there.
Do you think that had to do with baseball and volleyball? And no,
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. And the other thing is, and it's not a gripe, but I think the ticketing is a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You know where I'm going with this?
I've seen a couple things about it.
So, the promotion of it is that you have if you buy it the day of or the day before leading up to the day, it's $10.
Yep.
If you do it at the gate, it's 12. It's actually 15 because there's upcharges on buying them online. I don't know if you could buy a $10 ticket from the ticket booth if you were here on campus a day, or I didn't test that out, but I waited and paid $12 as opposed to 15. It's $3, folks. Like, it's not that big a deal, not worth griping about, but we like to give you guys information about what to expect in the future about the Auburn experience. So it's just something to keep in mind.
I got to ask you, because this is always a crucial part to when you come to Auburn, and I like to push you and make sure that you're expanding your horizons. Where did you eat this weekend?
You're going to be very, very disappointed in me.
Oh my God.
I didn't have time. I did not.
Did you try anywhere?
I did not.
Oh.
This is my one gripe for myself personally of this weekend, is that I was thinking about this on the way here. I knew you were going to ask me about that I did not go anywhere new. Just because of time, convenience, it just didn't line up this week.
Sure.
So I'm sorry. I failed you.
You hit your usuals?
I didn't even hit that.
Oh.
When I talk about usuals, I talk about Mama G's. I talk about, some of those things that we've always talked about. I went to Taco Bell, man.
Hey, look, there's nothing wrong with that.
Hey, Taco Bell, you want to sponsor? I will talk about you endlessly. Don't know what I'm eating, but I don't care.
That's a usual tradition for you, though, on the way out.
I think of like Mama G's. Oh, yeah. I think of, if you want to go grab a sandwich at Little Italy, go grab a sandwich at Tumor's Drugs or, whatever.
A lot of people don't. I don't feel like a lot of people don't know about the sandwiches at Tumor's Drugs. I think we should talk more food someday.
Maybe we will. So just be listening out for that. So that is 8-day weekend encompassing. Again, we talked about football in another segment because we knew we needed a whole segment for that, but wanted to tell you about the experience that we had on
big weekend.
My opinion, the best weekend of every Auburn calendar year. So we'll look forward to the next one and talk about that then. That's going to do it for episode 73. If you want to keep up with me and critique my 8-day weekend and say I didn't do it right, feel free to over at X at Kyle Loomis 24. Where can they find you?
At Austin G. Scott is where you can find me, and I look forward to this week and our next conversation about all things Auburn experience.
It's going to get interesting because things are going to start winding down here. We might be getting some of those special fun topics we keep talking about.
Stay tuned. You never know what's going to happen.
We just might get a little bit crazy. You just never know. It can't get any crazier being in the studio together and him messing me up the entire time. So
we do what we can.
Thanks for tuning in. Until we talk to you again. War Eagle.
War Eagle.